So this is part 2 of the terms because there's just too many terms. It got too long. So here's the rest. Uh, just a handful more. Hopefully you enjoy. Hopefully this was informative to you. But basically hormones are what give you facial hair. They're what, they're basically like, if you're male, it's what gives you facial hair, the deep voice, all that stuff, all the things you get from puberty. And if you're female, it's what gives you like the busty figure and all that stuff, and boobs. And I really don't know what girls go through when they get puberty, which, like, that time of the month that happens. So to combat that, trans people will take hormones. So a male to female trans woman would take estrogen, which is the female hormone, as well as testosterone blockers to block the male hormone that is present, because it's a really strong motherfucker. And if you're MCF, you have to do two things. However, if you're FTM, then you only need to take testosterone. This is testosterone. Depending on, there's different types. These are two different types. This is for shots. This is gel. This is cream, but called gel or cream. But this is cream. And a lot of trans guys will call that tea. I know MTFs use the word tea, but that's for a whole different type of tea. Their tea is not our tea. So just know that if an MTF is talking about tea, it's not that tea. It's a different tea. So if a trans guy does decide to take tea, it'll make them look more masculine, probably make them feel more masculine as well. It'll deepen their voice, give them facial hair, change their facial structure, change their body, like fat distribution, body hair, receding hairline, all these things, which I will get more into depth when I talk about that specifically, but it changes everything. And testosterone actually has permanent effects, so if you ever decide to detransition, a lot of the effects you've seen with testosterone you will never be able to reverse. So just know that it's a thing. Be careful out there. Like you're in the wild hunting a wild bear or something. What am I? Be careful. And estrogen for MTFs does the opposite, obviously. So, and FTMs can get a hysterectomy, which is the removal of the female reproductive organs inside of them, which once you do that, there's no estrogen pumping in your body anymore, which is the female hormone. So there's no more female hormones pumping in your body anymore. And then if you're taking testosterone still, then it's just purely testosterone in your body. But if you do get a hysterectomy as a trans guy, then you will never be able to produce hormones on your own. You always have to take hormones regardless. So, which basically you have to take hormones for the rest of your life anyway. But if you get a hysterectomy, you're not producing anything, which, talk to your doctors about what all that means, because that's like a whole another video, and I'm trying to just give you guys terminology, but I keep like just talking too much. But I will get into depth on everything in the later videos, because I want to make sure we know this, right? I want to make sure we got this FTM 101 down. A few more things. One thing I do want to talk about is bottom growth and sensitivity, because not many trans guys really explain bottom growth, and I feel like that kind of confuses people, and especially even trans guys. I feel like that confuses trans guys who are just starting out, because they're like, oh, bottom growth, and they think it's this whole thing, then it's not, and it's not that thing that you think it is. Bottom growth happens when a trans guy takes T, but it's all different depending on the guy. Some guys see significant growth, some guys barely see any. I'm one of those like 1% that didn't really see anything, and it's just yeah. Cry self to sleep. So trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about like anatomy parts, and if that's not what you want to hear, then okay. So bottom growth is basically when the clitoris elongates, and that's what T does. It elongates the clitoris, and that's what grows. So it kind of gets the look of like a little micro penis, but it doesn't get that big. I think the biggest it can get is 5 centimeters. Um, but it's all different. So if you know like the actual anatomy of that area, typically the clitoris is like really, really tiny for the most part. Some people have, bigger ones, but usually it's like really, really tiny. So testosterone will elongate that and it'll get bigger. And if you have, a pretty big area down there already, then maybe you might see even more growth, and that might be even awesomer. So just know that's a thing, because it happens, and then you have to deal with it, and it's a new feeling, Uh, Unfortunately, though, I didn't get like super growth, so it's just kind of like, hey, what's up? Anyway, I think I know somebody who's saying that they had like 2 inches of growth or something, so that's pretty, that's like that much or something. So impressive, impressive. With bottom growth comes increased sensitivity to that area, so. Like I said, not all trans guys are going to get the same amount of sensitivity. Some guys are going to get way more. Sometimes, or some guys are going to get way less. I personally don't have a lot of sensitivity, which kind of sucks. But like I said, whatever. I'm that lucky 0.01%. Well, actually, just 1%. But yeah, increased sensitivity. So some guys like, having that area focused on. Some guys don't. But there is sensitivity, and sometimes just like your boxers rubbing up against you just is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And you gotta like calm your little buddy down. But yeah, just know that it's not like something insane that happens. It's just something scientifical. What? Did that make sense? What was the point? I don't know why I added that last part. I'll shut up now. Anyway, let's stop talking about what's in my pants and let's move on to top surgery. Top surgery is what FTMs call basically getting their chest removed or more masculinized, or however you want to explain it. There's double incision, there's keyhole, there's periolar. I don't know how to say that one, but there's that one. Basically, it's taking the fat out of your chest, and like I said, making it look more masculine. Double incision is when there's the 2 scars right here on the chest, and take out the fat. I think they take off your nipple and they can do nipple grafts, but I don't know if that's always. I think that's a thing because they have to like move it back to right, yeah. And then for smaller guys can opt for keyhole or peri. Keyhole is when they just cut around the nipple and then they take it out that way. And then peri is where they take off the nipple, take it out from there, and then put the nipple back on. I think. I might have those two flipped, but basically, yeah. Basically, peri and keyhole are what trans guys try to opt for if they're closer to the smaller side because there's less scarring and whatnot. But there's always advances in medicine and medical stuff and all that stuff, and especially people who work with FTMs on a regular basis try to adhere to different approaches besides, the main ones that we know. Bottom surgery is the last thing I'm going to teach y'all, which is the same thing as top surgery, but wait, no. Is it? No. But it's still surgery. And it's basically when there's a phallus created, whichever way it's created, and for, the FTM trans guy to have a phallus down there to... Typically, it's able to, pee and have intercourse and all that stuff. Sometimes you can do it without that because there's so many other things that go into that, and there's so many different types of bottom surgery. There's one new one that just came out as well, that I found out of. I don't know if it's actually new, but there's metoidioplasty where it takes, again, trigger warning, anatomy, the clitoris that's grown and it kind of like chops away at the labia, I think, to expose it more and like kind of pulls it down a little bit, stretches it as much as it'll stretch. And then you can get an urethral lengthening, which is so you can pee out of it. And I think that's called a ring metoidioplasty. But for that, it's still only like so big. It's kind of on the smaller side. And I'm not sure that can be used for intercourse. I mean, probably, yeah, obviously, but I don't... I don't know. I don't know much about metoidoplasty because that's not the one that I'm really into. I'm into phalloplasty, but metoidoplasty is safer and everything, so look into that. Phalloplasty is when they make a phallus and attach it to whichever way they do it and attach it to you. Usually they use skin grafts, but there's a new way that they're doing it, and I can't think of what it's called, but it's something like abdominal something, and they like take 3 flaps from your stomach and your thighs or something, and then they make the phallus that way. They cut like these flaps, and then it's just right there on top of your pubic bone. They don't do urethral lengthening with that one, I think, or they tell you not to do it because they think it's dangerous or something. So yeah, from what I've read, I believe. But you can do the urethral lengthening. They just kind of try to push you to not do it because it can be hazardous. But the phalloplasty that I am actually interested in is when they take skin grafts and either they'll take it from the arm or the leg or the back. They keep changing like where they do the skin grafts because before it was like the abs and like this and that, but it's always like the arm and the leg, and now it's the back. But there's different reasons as to do the arm, the leg, and the back. So there's all kinds of different information that you need to learn about bottom surgery, and I will talk about that in a later video when I get fully into depth on bottom surgery. But basically that one is just taking a skin graft, turn it into that's how you make phalluses, by the way, if you're wondering. That's what the surgeons do. Turn it into a phallus, and then they like sew it on to you somehow and like connect the nerves, and it's some scientifical stuff up in there. So pretty insane. Yeah. And top surgery and bottom surgery for MTFs is obviously different. Top surgery for MTF would be like boob implants and whatnot, if they choose to do that. And bottom surgery is obviously the complete opposite of bottom surgery for FTM, which I don't even know if there's probably a word for that, actually. But yeah, but they call it bottom surgery too. And theirs is actually way more simplistic in a sense than FTM's, because it's just like that's if you're wondering how MTF surgery went, that's exactly how it went down. So there you go. You got 17 terms that you can now study, and you can be a grade A transgender dictionary for either if you're trans yourself, or if you're like a boyfriend or girlfriend to somebody who's trans, or just like a really cool friend to someone who's trans, or you're just trying to educate yourself because you're trying to better humanity by educating yourself and not being ignorant. So thank you. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff that you didn't know before. I will be making more videos of this and getting more impersonal and whatnot. Impersonal. I will be getting more in depth and giving more details and information. But yeah, hit like if this video taught you something new that you didn't know before. Leave a comment of what that was. Go ahead and hit me up on any of my social media down below. Subscribe to this channel if this is something you're interested in. And like I said, if we hit 500 subscribers, this will be going home with somebody that's not me, because somebody deserves this. So, like I said, I think it's fair. I think 500 subscribers, free binder. Yeah? 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 No, maybe I'm a terrible person. I'm sorry. Social media is down below if you want to hit me up on anything. If you have any more questions or you have anything that you want me to get more into depth into, whether it's, terms or, actual surgeries or hormones or etc., please let me know. Or if you just want to talk and hang out or whatever, ask me questions, whatever it may be. Maybe we could do a Q&A one day. Maybe we'll do a You Now. We'll see what happens. You guys just need to interact with me more, and I'll make it happen. So, yeah. Say goodbye to the wall. See you guys next time. Peace out.